I am currently building out my second camper van ever. I noticed that the hole didn't go through.
That is so cool.
I traveled in my last one for 4 years and I learned so much about my priorities and what I want in a build, and I'm implementing them all into this build now. And one of the things I learned in my last camper van is how important it is to temperature regulate this space. And so I'm doing a few things to keep this space cold on hot days. This is the AC unit that I installed this week. As you can tell, it's a big mess with ducting and all the other construction I have going on in here, but it's one of the things I'm doing to temperature regulate this space, and I'm so excited about it because my last van didn't have AC at all. But before I show you how I installed this, I want to show you some of the other projects I've been doing this week. One of the first projects I did this week is install this 12.2 gallon Flame King undermount propane tank. It fits perfectly right in front of my spare tire, and I'm really excited to, one, have this much propane, two, not have it inside my van so it's not taking up space, and so that if there is a leak, it's not gassing up inside of a closed space, it'll just come right out here. And there's also a reason why I need so much propane, which I'll share with you guys later because it's kind of a secret, but I'm so excited to have this on board. I'm gonna weld the bolts for the propane tank. That way I can service it more easily. I've never welded before, my dad just taught me, and so let's give it a try. I have this, which will protect my eyes, and then gloves, and kind of nervous, but let's just do it.
Wait, I'm literally terrified.
Yeah, keep it going. Stay close.
That was actually so terrifying, and it took me so long to figure out how to get the arch because it kept sticking to the steel plate, and I was like pulling it off, and then I was pulling it too far away and it wasn't keeping the fire going, but I finally got it figured out, and I have nice welding on all 4 of these bolts. So I'm just gonna spray paint it to prevent rust, and then we're done. So this is how the steel plate ended up looking like. I'm so glad that I welded it. It was really terrifying, but this is going to make servicing it so much more possible, because if I didn't weld this, then I would have to rip out my entire floor to get the propane tank out underneath my van. So I feel like this was kind of a must, or at least for me it was. One thing that I'm going to do differently in this van compared to my last one is I'm going to have less windows, and this is going to help a lot with temperature regulation. This is the latest window I installed, and if you've been keeping up with the build, you would know that it was leaking when I installed it. This is a disaster. This window is leaking everywhere, but I'm happy to announce that I did get it fixed this week. I went to the professionals because I didn't want to mess with it anymore, and I didn't want to shatter my window, and they did such a great job with it. It looks amazing, and it is not leaking. I want to say thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Klook. Before I started working on this van build, I actually traveled for 4 months around Asia, and Klook is an experiences booking platform with thousands of destinations around the world, which makes booking so easy and affordable. My mom has actually been using Klook for years and recommended it to me while we were in Japan because the platform is so easy to use. Klook has amazing prices, supports 40 currencies in over a dozen languages, and regularly offers discounts. It's also so convenient having all of my travel experiences under one roof, and I have the Klook app so I can easily start booking and planning my trips. For the Japan trip, I could literally book everything I needed on this app. I have rail passes, tours, hotels, car rentals, airport trains and buses, observation decks, and train tickets. I literally didn't need another app to plan my trips except for this one. It's so amazing. If you have an upcoming trip, I highly recommend signing up for Klook. I've included a link in my description so you can start booking today. These are the other windows I've installed. I have 3 of them from Arctic Turn, and you can leave them open like this so you can get good airflow and ventilation. I also have a max air fan for ventilation, which is going to be amazing, and having less windows is going to help because I'll be able to insulate really thoroughly the rest of this van build. My last van had windows all around and it looked stunning when I was in a beautiful place, and I love having that much light, but I honestly feel like the amount of windows I have in this build, it will be enough light. I also have a skylight too, and with a little bit less windows, I'll be able to insulate it a lot better and keep the van cooler when it's hot and hotter when it's cold outside. And before I dive into what insulation I'm using in this van build, I wanted to show you my AC installation, the star of this show. The next step in this van build is to install my AC. I have the template here that I just laid out. I'm gonna drill my first hole. I decided to get the underbench mini split from Pioneer. It was the most affordable option I could find. It's undermount, so I don't have to have anything on my roof that adds to the weight up top. I want all of the weight to be down below. I also just want it to be more discreet and not add to my clearance up there. So I found this underbench AC unit and it looks really great. It's 9,000 BTUs, pretty efficient and very affordable compared to a lot of the other undermount AC units, which are up to $5,000, $6,000, which is kind of crazy. So let's drill the first hole. I honestly just don't know. I noticed that the hole didn't go through, and I went down below and it didn't go through. It was like in one of the pieces of framing underneath the van, so obviously that's not gonna work. So I spent like probably 30 minutes orienting this in different ways, trying to get it to work, because I have to cut 3 holes in the floor for this AC. One for the intake, one for the outtake, and also one for the, it's like a drainage hole, like piping that's basically gonna go down. Yeah, I just had to figure out an area where I had space to do all of that, and I think I finally figured it out, but I did have to change my plans quite a bit. But it's going to end up being on the driver's side, but I have a template and I'm going to use that to trace out everything. Okay, next step is tracing the foam underneath. I'm going to add this 1-inch foam as insulation underneath. It's basically gonna be like underneath my subfloor. I haven't done my subfloor yet, but I'm gonna cut it out so that I can install my AC unit. And I'm kind of doing things in an unconventional way here, but it's gonna work out great, I think, so. I really don't like this. Like, I actually really don't like this. La-di-da-di-da. I can't hear anything at all. I can still hear it. I can still hear it. No, I can't. I give up. This is getting a little bit of surgery, a little patched up, but you know what? The end result is still there. Could have probably been a little more careful cutting this, honestly, but I'm also really tired and it's late. I ended up working on the AC so late at night, so I didn't really get footage of me finishing it off, but I wanted to show you the end result. This is the AC unit. I've already tried it. This is going to be mounting in my control panel area, so this is how I'll turn it on and off. It works super well, and it also does have a heating function, but I'm gonna have a separate heater so that I don't have to use electrical all the time. This is the entire unit as well, so even though it seems kind of big, it's actually not in the grand scheme of things because there's nothing outside of the van. I cut a big hole here for intake, I cut a hole for outtake, and I cut a drain hole. And then I have all these ducts, and I had to figure out exactly where I wanted them to come out. So I decided I'm going to have one come out here on this side, one come out on the other side. That way they're high up and they're just gonna blow and circulate throughout the entire van. And then my third one is going through my subfloor. Actually, I'm having a raised subfloor so that I can put my heating through the subfloor. I'm doing a really cool heated floor idea that I haven't seen anyone do before. And because I have this raised subfloor, I'm also going to put the AC duct through here. So the duct goes through this hole back here, and then I still need to cut a little hole here, but it's going to go in this cavity. And then it's going to go all the way up to my bathroom and shower area because the AC has a drying function. So whenever I'm showering and taking a long hot shower, I want to be able to dry it out and ventilate it. So I'm just going to turn on my AC, and that's going to help do that. But also when I'm not showering, I can still have an AC duct going to another area and just having one in the front and one in the back. Now it's time to talk about insulation, which is so important in a van build, and I think I found the best insulation in my opinion for van life. There's so many different types of insulation, and it's kind of hard to know which one's the best one and which one to choose. And I decided to go with mineral wool, which I feel like I don't see people use a lot.
There is nothing hidden up my sleeve. I've run out of things to believe again. Been looking around this place for things to do. I've run out of love to pursue again. It gets so lonely in this house. I get so tired of the whole thing. Still, I wanna live to see another spring.
In addition to the mineral wool, I'm also going to be using this R-Max 1-inch foam board for my subfloor. In areas where I'm not gonna have ducting, I'm going to layer this up. So it's actually gonna be 3 inches of this foam board. And then in the other areas that has ducting, it'll just be 1 inch, but this is gonna be great. And then I also made sure that it has like this Reflectix material since there will be an air gap, and that's going to help insulate it even more. So those are all the ways that I'm planning to keep this van cool. And if you're building out a van or you already have a van, remember these 3 rules. I feel like these are the 3 crucial rules to temperature regulation in a van. Number 1 is really solid and good insulation. It's going to make all of the difference. Number 2 is less windows. Even though I love windows, I love natural light. That is going to help a lot with temperature regulation. So just balance your priorities there. And then number 3 is ventilation. So if you have windows that open, that would be great. And then also a fan so that you can ventilate that air. And then obviously I added my AC too, which is such a luxury. But the technology is actually getting really great with AC units in vans. Like a few years ago when I started van life, it was pretty unheard of to have an AC unit in a van because it either drew way too much power or was way too expensive. And even though this is a hefty price tag, in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of like AC units on the market, this is actually pretty affordable. And I'm so excited to see how this works in my van, and to have this for my dog Choya and myself on hot days. It's going to be such a game changer. So those are my tips for keeping a van or a vehicle cool while you're living in it. And if you have any tips that you've learned to keep a vehicle cool on hot days, leave them down below because I'm always learning, and I know everybody else would love to learn as well. And also don't forget to check out Klook and use my code SARAHYAK for 10% off your first purchase. I'll see you guys next week. Bye!